Hello and welcome. I'm Mark Hunter, the Sales Hunter. This is the Sales Hunter podcast. Of course, let's see, when you come on, if you're watching this live, you normally see somebody next to me, but there's nobody. This is another solo show. And what we're talking about here today is how to avoid selling at a discount. Because again, huge issue. Hey, let's roll the video and let's get into the show.
You're listening to the Sales Hunter Podcast with Mark Hunter, where the focus is to help you as a sales leader sell with confidence and integrity. And now here's your host.
Well, I'm your host and I'm your guide today as we talk about how to avoid selling at a discount. Now, here's the challenge. Here's the issue. We're in an inflationary period right now. And prices are going up. And yet I see and I hear from too many salespeople saying, but I'm struggling. I've got to cut my price. And I talk about this a lot. My first book, High Profit Selling, it was really all designed around how to get full price. And what I'm going to talk about here today is how do we avoid selling at a discount? I'm going to share with you two core strategies. So hang with the podcast. You know, these always work the way they always do. It's about 22, 23 minutes. That's it. And I'm going to give you some meat, going to give you some strong ideas. So, hey, think about this for a moment. The price the customer is willing to pay is a reflection of the value they perceive they will get. Okay, now we've all heard that before. Okay, right? Now let me walk through it again. The price the customer is willing to pay is a reflection of the value they perceive they will get. So what that means is that low price is a result of low value. If I don't create enough value, I'm going to get a low price. I create high value and I'm able to get a high price. But wait, it's not that simple. Because if it was that simple, all we'd have to do is work on the value proposition. And yes, that is what we need to work on, but it's far more than that. You see, here's the challenge. Value is not what we say. It's not what the customer says. It's what the customer believes. Now, stop and think about that for a moment, okay? We can sit here and say that, wow, our price is absolutely worth it, but the customer doesn't. But here's what I found. More discounts are given because the salesperson fails to believe in their price than is given based on the demands of the customer. Whoa, back up the audio. Hear that again. More discounts are given based on the beliefs of the salesperson versus the demands of the customer. What does that mean? The salesperson doesn't even believe in the price. I see this time and time again. Because what happens is the salesperson says, well, we make so much money on this, we can certainly afford to sell it less, or I'm sure they can't, or they sympathize with the customer, whatever. And remember, it's not what we sell. It is not what we sell. It is the outcome we create. Example I love to use is an airplane. Okay, you look at a typical flight, and on that flight, there are going to be people who have paid a dozen different price points. Now, to the individual who is just going for a couple days to go see some nieces or nephews or whatever, and it's no big deal when they travel, they're retired. Price is everything. They're going to automatically demand that low price. But to the other person sitting in seat, 6D or whatever, they're sitting there. They have to be on that flight at that time because they have a prescribed meeting they have to be at, and they have to be back at their home location by a certain date, certain time because of other things. You see, their demands are far different. So when we talk about selling at a discount, how do we avoid it? We have to understand what is the demand that the customer's looking for. What is it that the customer is looking for? Because if we don't understand what it is that the customer is looking for, there is no way we'll be able to come close to it. And what this means is this. You, the seller, have to put yourself in the shoes of the outcome the customer is looking for. And one of the biggest issues that I say is that you never put a price out on a table until the customer has shared with you. What is it that they need to solve? What is the benefit? What's the issue that they're solving? You see, what happens is we sit here and we hear the customer say, "Oh, what's your price?" And we automatically think they're going to buy, so we just throw out a price. That's customer service. That's not. But problem is, that's old school customer service. That's not new school customer service. My whole focus here is this. I only want to put a price out on the table when I understand your value, your need. When a customer calls me up, and I get this all the time, customers will call me up and say, "Hey, what's your price to do a 1-hour webinar?" And my response, you're going to love this, is, well, it's typically never more than $1 million. And it generally elicits a laugh. And I say, well, because I first of all, I really don't know if I'm the right fit for you. Tell me a little bit about your business. Help me understand. Help me understand. This is so key. You never sit there and allow yourself to just start throwing things out just because the customer is sitting there demanding it. You can't. You see, different customers have different expectations, and you've got to be prepared to serve that. Now, let's talk about this for a moment, because I'm also never going to throw a price out until I know that I'm dealing with the decision maker and I'm dealing with somebody who has the ability to make the decision now. I see a lot of times what happens is customers will sit here and ask for, we'll go through the process and find all this out, and everything's all good and everything's all ready. But what happens is this: the customer is just looking for a price, but they're not ready to buy for another year. Price goes with a moment in time. Keep that in mind. Price goes with a moment in time. Now, if you're wondering what I'm talking about, does it sound familiar? Does it sound like BANT? Okay. BANT is kind of an old school term, B-A-N-T. It's the, well, I won't bother to go through what B-A-N-T, because it's old school, but the core premise still exists. The core premise is this: the core premise is, hey, does the customer have the money? Is the customer making a decision today? And do I understand the issue that they have? Until that point, I'm never going to put the price out on the table. Let me walk you through a couple of examples. When you first present your price, you want to first tie it back to an outcome that the customer has. In other words, you never sit there and just throw a price out, but you always tie it back to, hey, based on what we've been talking about and the needs that you have here, this is what I think is going to work right. This is what I feel will be. This is the solution you need. You see what I'm doing is I'm tying it back to the challenge, the problem that you have. Now, this is absolutely key. But here's where I really want you to pay attention, because I love this. What I want you to do is this. I want you to sit there and say this. Let me share with you the plan that I feel is going to address the issue you have, and your issue is XXX. And you lay out to them an unbelievable, amazing package. Not cheap, high price. You literally put, I call it the Uber package. Okay. Now Uber, we confuse that with Uber, the calling, car calling app. So we'll just say it the ultimate package. The ultimate package that has everything in it. And you put everything in. In fact, I was on the phone this morning coaching an individual on just this, because he wanted to go out and sell what he had at a certain price. And I said, no, that's not the price you go out with. You go out with your ultimate package. You go out with this ultimate package, and it has everything in it. And you share it with the customer, and you let the customer puke all over. You let the customer go, that is expensive. I can't afford that. You're right. Okay, fine. Now, you don't tell them you're right. But what you do is you let them puke all over it. And then you come back and you share with them a different package. The different package is the one that you would have led with. The different package is the one that you say is going to work for them. That's the package that's going to work for them. Now, here's why you do this. Because now what happens is you present to them this package at a lower price, okay? And suddenly what happens is they compare it to this ultimate package. And they go, wow, that's quite a bit less. Yeah, it is quite a bit less. And then they suddenly accept it because the contrast, the power of pricing contrast works dramatically well, because now what happens is the customer's looking at this other offer that you put out there on the table, and they're appreciative. They're appreciative of you, that you are willing to do that for them compared to this ultimate package. But see, here's what's interesting. If you had just put that package on the table without putting the ultimate package on the table first, they would have said, hey, I need a lower price. That's still too expensive. I want to cut price. I want to cut price. It's the power of contrasting. Let me walk you through an example of this. And I love this story. My daughter was dating an individual, and my wife and I and my daughter and her boyfriend at the time, we were out shopping. And we were shopping, and my daughter was in college at the time. And she wanted to go into a Coach store because as a college student, she felt that she should have a Coach purse. And my wife wanted to buy her and I said, no, you're not, no. Now, her boyfriend was a year or two older than her. And I said, I want to watch how this plays out, because this is going to prove as to whether or not this boyfriend could ultimately become our son-in-law. I'm going to watch how this plays out. Michelle walks into this Coach store and she is excited. She sees these Coach purses. Now, her boyfriend is a couple years older, and he happens to be a first-year school teacher. Now, think about this. First-year school teacher. That means he makes no money. That means he makes zero money. In fact, he was living in a studio apartment. That's all he could afford, a studio apartment. And he walks into this Coach store, and I could tell that he's like, oh, this is not going well. This is not going. And I told my wife, I said, just hold back. Let's watch what happens. My daughter walks up to this display table of Coach purses, and they're beautiful. They are beautiful Coach purses. And she picks one up, and it's like, $350. And she picks it up and she shows it to Andrew. And you can tell Andrew is freaking out right now because he doesn't even have $350 to his name. It's like, no, $350. But Michelle is like looking at it going, wow, this is so beautiful, so wonderful. What happens is all of a sudden, they both take a step back and they see around the perimeter of the table these other Coach purses that were like $119. They were way less than half price of the $329 price. Suddenly, Michelle's eyes and Andrew's eyes gleamed on to this Coach purse that was like $129. And they picked it up, or $119 or something. They picked it up and they go, wow. And Andrew's looking at the price at $129, $119, whatever it might be. And suddenly that is cheap compared to $329. Suddenly he goes, I can afford this. I can buy this. And he bought that purse for Michelle. Now stop and think about that. Andrew walking into that store was not planning to spend $129. There was no way she was going to buy. And there was no way he was going to buy her price. Was it different purses? Oh, totally different purses. Totally different. But it was still a Coach purse. You see, what was powerful is that if he had not seen that $329, whatever it might be, there was no way he was going to buy that. But the cheaper price purse he could buy. You see, what's very interesting is that a sale was made, but if he had not seen that higher price purse, there's no way he would have bought the lower price purse. The power of contrast. Let me give you another example. In this example, oh, by the way, that gentleman, Andrew, he is now our son-in-law. Okay, so we passed that test. Okay, now let me share with you a second story. And this happened to me. We were trying to get into a good sized company. And because they had reached out to us, the VP of sales had reached out to us, And what the issue at hand was, they were dealing with a huge competitive issue. They had several competitors that were going to come into their marketplace, and they were afraid of losing a substantial portion of their business. And what was interesting was they were going to lose a big piece of their business. And what was very interesting was, we put this package together for them. The VP of sales said, "This is great, absolutely great." He said, "We talked to everybody. Everybody was good. Everybody was good." And he said, "I just got to send it to legal, get them to sign off on it, and we're good." Well, the contract went to legal, signed off on it. And as they do things, the CEO needed to review it. Well, the CEO reviewed it and was aghast at the price. Now, I had not been able to have a conversation with the CEO. We wanted to, but he would never make himself available. So we did not have a conversation with the CEO. But suddenly the CEO reached out to my office and says, "I want to talk to Mark Hunter. We're not accepting this price." So he calls me up, and I answered the telephone. And he goes, "How much will you reduce your price by?" And I go, "I won't reduce our price. All I'll do is change the value you're going to get. How much business do you expect to lose next year from the new competitors coming into the marketplace?" That's exactly what I said. I said, I will not change our price. Only thing I'll change is the value you're going to get. How much business do you expect to lose based off of the competitors coming into the marketplace? And you know what's interesting? There was this long pause. Now, this long pause was met by, of course, naturally in my mind, I'm thinking, oh, something's wrong. Now, the typical salesperson would jump in and say something. "Oh, well, let me cut the price. Let me do that." No, this is the problem. No, you never, no. After what seemed like an eternity, it was really only probably 10 or 15 seconds, he made the comment. He said, "That was good. You're hired." And I said, "So how much business do you expect to lose?" And he said, "You know what? We really haven't figured out, but I think we could have 30% of our business at risk." Now stop and think about this. The price I was charging was more than triple what somebody else had quoted him. Was triple what somebody else was going to charge him. But he went with me. Why? Because I understood his problem. When you understand the customer's problem, when people sit there and say, "Oh," and I see comments in the chat, well, B2C is more price sensitive. B2B, no, garbage, absolute garbage. It's not. Both are price sensitive until you get to the need that the customer has. In both B2C and B2B, there's emotion. There is emotion in sales. There's emotion in the buying, in the buying decision. And what's happening is that the customer wants to feel like they're getting a good deal. The customer wants to feel like they're getting a good deal. I totally understand that. That's why the power of contrasting, the whole purse scenario. That was an excellent merchandising strategy by Coach. Put the higher price purse. They know they're not going to sell the higher price purse. Maybe they will. Fine, great, fine. But they know they're going to sell a ton of the lower price purse. And great, they're still making all the money they want. That was the normal price. I, on the other hand, I had that situation. I could have easily lowered the price. We could have easily lowered the price. Easily. But I knew the amount of business they were going to lose was going to be absolutely significant. You see, we have to understand, what is it that the customers are willing to pay? And there's a reason why, if you sell Mercedes cars, we'll say you sell Mercedes automobiles, you do not drive a Toyota Camry. You drive a Mercedes. Mercedes salespeople do not drive Toyota Camrys. Toyota Camrys are great cars, but they don't sell at the price of a Mercedes. You see, you have to live and walk and talk. And if you can't live and walk and talk, you shouldn't be selling what you're selling. I get very passionate on this, very passionate. Because I believe when you believe in the price, I was just literally on the phone with a person who was literally willing to take what they sold and give it away to the customer at 1/4 the price. Well, it only cost me X amount of money to make this. Yeah, I don't care. The value to the customer. It's the value to the customer. That's what you base your price on. It's the value of the customer, not your cost, not what your competition is. See, here's the whole thing. If I sell on price, somebody else will come along and undercut me. The customers I get on price will leave me on price. They always do. They always do. I never want, salespeople are very quick to say, oh, well, I would have sold more if I had only had a cheaper price, lower price. Garbage, 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 garbage. Salespeople are quick to always blame price when it's their own process. That stinks. This is why I do this podcast, the Sales Hunter podcast. This is why I do what I do. And I want you to follow the link that I'll put below. And if you're catching live, if you're catching the podcast, it'll be in the notes. But I want you to download the ebook on how to sell at full price. I want you to. Selling at full price. Don't allow yourself to get sucked into it. Because now more than ever, full price is the way we have to go. Yeah. Because again, because of inflationary times. One final strategy I'll share with you real quickly here for you. One idea to think about. Take your price. Take whatever it is that you sell. And I want you to put another price next to it that's 25% higher than what your price is right now. 25% higher. That's your new price. That's what I want you to put in your car. I want you to put it in front of your desk. I want you to put it in your bathroom on the mirror. I want you to put these higher price points on there because I want you to get believing that your price is 25% more than it is. Why? Because then when you do quote your price, you'll be more confident. And here's the thing, and you'll believe it's a bargain. Here's the other thing. You never ask your customer, oh, this is our price. What do you think? No, never. You tell your customer, this is the price. You tell your customer. And you tell it with confidence, with eye contact, body language, and strong voice. And don't sit there and send your price over to them by way of an email. Come on, have a conversation. Because the reason people will sit there and put their price into an email is because, well, they want it emailed to them. What do? They take your price and they shop it to the competitors. I want to orally give it to you. If I'm asked to send you the price quote and so forth, I never do it without two legs attached. In other words, hey, let's have a call today at 3:00. And at 2:59, you push the button to send that price quote to them so you can walk it through them. Hey, I'm Mark Hunter, the Sales Hunter. This is the Sales Hunter podcast. Do you like this episode? You know, I do these solo shows just every so often when I get a real bug, a real urge that I got to share about. And looking at the comments coming in, I sure did because, hey, here's the whole deal. It's how to avoid selling at a discount. Now, here's what I want you to do. I want you to jump out to thesaleshunter.com, thesaleshunter.com. We have got all kinds of assets out there, all kinds of tools. I want you to take advantage of them because you've been listening right now to the Sales Hunter podcast. I'm Mark Hunter, where we put a new episode out each week to do one thing, to help you sell more in today's marketplace. I'm Mark Hunter. Great selling.